attached to the game now. Both players shuffling up. The great thing about this matchup as well is these two are great friends as well. They play games together every Sunday on stream and stuff like that as well. So a very well-known relationship in the Pokemon world. Both very, very good European players as well. Both in that top 22 stipend. And it'll be interesting here to see which one of them comes out on top.
Yeah, Meme Sunday, it's called. But today is not Meme Sunday, today is Serious Sunday.
Serious Sunday.
Told himself is referring to his deck as a theme deck because the amount of energy he has.
Yeah, like he plays 8 basic, which is fine, normal amount, 13 in total, which like 13 is always like the regular amount for decks that just need a lot of energy in total, but he also plays 2 Super Rods, and yeah, with the Beast String he just goes crazy with attaching, and he doesn't really need to play too many supporter cards. The amazing thing about Buzzwole is that it keeps tempo and can apply a lot of pressure without playing any supporter cards. And every hand you would consider a dead hand usually has, like, you have to start with any basic Pokemon, and for Tor that's usually a non-GX Buzzwole, and if you have no supporter you should have an energy. So you can always do something, and this is also like the power of basic decks. If you have a dead hand with a Zorak deck, all you can do is pass. But with a Buzzwole deck, you can attach energy and attack.
Of course, and Marc starting the Lele there. Doesn't play too many of them in his deck. He plays 3 of them in his deck. So, of course, it's going to be there quite often. He's been caught out this time with the Lele, not yet able to see what Tord's got, but we see 2 Octillery in his prizes. That could be absolutely huge already without a card even being played. We mention it time and time and time again, these Buzzwole decks just cannot seem to run today without these Octilleries on the field, and Tord has pried 2 of them straight off the bat.
Yeah, the Octillery is really important. We mentioned that quite a lot, that the way Buzzwole decks are built currently, it doesn't really work without Octillery, because you draw so many cards, and this allows you to get your B-strings and that kind of stuff. And this is why Garbodor is a counter against Buzzwole, even though you don't really need an ability to make it work. It still works without abilities, which is also the reason why a lot of decks don't play Field Blower. But yeah, if you cannot use Diancie and Octillery, the deck gets a lot less strong.
And of course here, Tord's drawn into a Remoraid in hand. Obviously it'd be natural to bench it just like he did, but obviously he hasn't been able to go into his deck yet to find out that there are 2 Octillery prized. That's going to be easy bait for Marc to be able to Jet Punch onto, and using these Fighting Fury belts, he can actually knock that out in just 1 turn as well.
Yeah, and Tord just showing us one of his 2 Super Rods, shuffling 2 Fighting Energy back into his deck. Now he has more energy to attach, and also his Max Elixir math is a little bit better than before.
Of course, on Marc's side of the board, what are you expecting Marc to go for here, game-wise strategy? Do you think he's going to go straight for the Garbodors and start to apply pressure that way to Tord, or do you think he's going to go straight into his Buzzwoles and start poking damage?
Ideally he would have both, but I think attacking first is a little bit more important. He can just get some damage on field, and because he has no way to accelerate energy, the hand attachments are really important. So if he has the possibility to attach from the hand, he should use it as soon as possible. And here we just have the deck lists once more. Or still looking really familiar. Nothing too crazy. We already the Paw Pad in Marc's deck is really cool because he plays 3 Acerola, and Rainbow Energy. With Rainbow Energy you can X3 Acerola Layla, just put it back to your hands. But yes, since with Fighting Fury belts, Buzzwole decks struggle to take 1-hit knockouts, especially if Garbodor is the ability lock Garbodor is in play. You can heal a lot, and Paw Pad just allows you to use more Acerolas and help it this way.
Yeah, I was talking to Marc yesterday. He said that the Pel Pad was actually one of the cooler parts of the deck, allowing him to completely recycle everything in there. He said oftentimes Lele ends up being his main attacker simply because he can attach a DCE. When it gets hit into, just attach the Rainbow, bring it back to hand, drop it back down again, and start from scratch. So the Lele actually really good in some of these matchups. Again, he's got a really strong list here. 4 counts of pretty much everything else to make it as consistent as possible, as well as the 4 Fighting Fury belt to stop those knockouts from flying over to his side of the board.
Yeah, and now after the N, Marc's hand is still not looking amazing. He has a Beast Energy and an Ultra Ball, so he can at least get a Buzz and start attaching. It would have been great if Tord played a Brooklyn Hill in his first turn, because Marc can also abuse that, even though he doesn't play any himself. He also doesn't play any stadium cards, so it would just stay there, and both players can use it for an advantage. He also got the Flow Stone, which is really good, and with the Beast Energy, being able to just target the Remoraid.
And the thing is as well, from our point of view, Tord doesn't yet know it, but that Remoraid can go down next turn as well. There's no way for Tord to be able to evolve it. I don't see a Gladion on his deck list, so there's no way to switch out that Octillery from the prizes. So unfortunately, that Remoraid a very easy prize for Marc by here, and of course that 60 damage onto the active Buzzwole as well. Tord not really able to do much here.
Well, he actually has a lot of hand cards. He has an Ultra Ball, he can grab, in theory, he could play it and try to get an Octillery. He cannot get it out of his deck, but he doesn't know yet. And he also has Energy, Float Stone, and so he should be able to do at least something. And now is the moment of truth for him. Especially unfortunate since he has to win 2-0. So if he loses this game, he's already out of top 8. He's checking his prize cards really quick. He has a Sycamore in his hand, so he might not even need the Octillery here, even if it would be there.
The one thing that's really important for Tord to do here, I know you expressed yesterday that body language wasn't a big part of the game, but it's really important that Tord doesn't give away the fact that both of them are prized just yet.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Marc will take full advantage of that Remoraid being there. He just needs to keep cool, act like the Rockruff that he's got at the top of the deck there is exactly what he wanted to grab the whole time, play it down and just act very nonchalant, allowing Marc to question the fact whether Octillery is either in hand or just not available yet.
Yeah, but usually, you can't really read it from body language, but the way your opponent plays is quite telling most of the time. So you see here, he discarded a Brooklyn Hill, could have just played that down, search for the Rockruff that way, keep the strong energy. In the current game state, we don't really know. I mean, if he can avoid using Brooklyn Hill, he potentially will not do it anyways. Because then, of course, Marc can search his deck for his Buzzwole. But also, he only plays 3 Buzzwole in total, so once they're in play, then it doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, but currently, Tord also has an energy in his hand, which he can attack, and he has also a Buzzwole and the Beast Energy. He discarded the strong, goes for the Beast, has a Floatstone and a perfect Professor Sycamore.
Perfect Sycamore.
But there is no high five this time.
No high five. Both of these players very in the game at the minute.
Yes, and Tord now with his 7 new hands. 7 new cards,
I think he wants the choice band here. He does have it in hand. He's just moved to the front, perhaps retreating, and of course doing that 90 damage straight off the bat to that active Buzzwole. The one thing that we know that is in Marc's deck, though, is that Acerola, that Lele has a Float Stone with just 90 damage on the Buzzwole. It can be Acerola'd and move back in with the Beast Energy next turn as well. So Tord needs to really be trying to find ways to one-shot these Buzzwoles, otherwise Marc's going to be able to play his game just the way that he wants it.
But still, 110 damage, it's quite a lot, or is it? Should be 110, right?
Yeah,
okay.
DMC's
so 110 damage, quite a lot for just 1 energy card. But Marc's hand, he top-decked the Trubbish and was his last card in the last turn, which is why he was able to go Ultra Ball for Buzzwole. Otherwise, he would have needed to grab another Lele. He actually plays 3 of them. He did not betray Tapu Lele yet, unless Tord, who I think plays. His deck could not be any more different than the one he played
what he
in
normally
London.
plays, because I'm pretty sure North America last year he said that it's 4 Lele or nothing, full consistency. And of course now it's going to become a case of Marc ending so that Buzzwole keeps the 110 damage on it, and the Buzzwole able to take a knockout on it next turn if it's not able to be moved out of the active. Marc just looking to be able to do the 60 damage onto it. And he knocks out the Remoraid, getting that first prize. Again, we're going to become into a situation now. Marc is taking a really nice one prize Pokemon, meaning that if he is able to take a 2 prize knockout somewhere on Tord's board at some point, it means he can skip over the Sledgehammer time altogether.
Yeah, but now his Buzzwole goes down. Like, this is the oh wait, does it go down? Currently it has 230 HP, so Tord would need another strong energy to take the knockout here. Yeah, this is the perfect Buzz. Currently the strongest you can have for only 1 energy. It's a Beast Energy, Fighting Fury Belt, full HP. For Tord this is perfect. For Marc this is perfect because of his Acerolas.
He misses the Elixir. Oh no, he does not. Okay, it's at the bottom. And down onto the Rockruff. Once again, showing that threat that Lycanroc has, such a powerful GX attack that we have sitting in the back here. And of course, being able to drag something very important off the bench. If Octillery was in play, oftentimes we'd see the Octillery be dragged up off of the bench for a knockout from something in the active. However, Tord doesn't really have access to that Octillery now, so it'll be interesting to see what he does opt to go to when he does Bloodthirsty Eyes.
Yeah, and let's see if he even has another energy in play. The Sledgehammer would deal... Yeah, the Sledgehammer would currently deal 80 damage on a Trubbish, so it's enough for the knockout, but he attacks this strong, just going for the knockout on the Buzzwole GX here, getting completely rid of the strong energy and also preventing Marc from doing any Acerola shenanigans, which is, yeah, a really good play here.
Yeah, and the Beast Energy going into Marc's discard pile, but as we all know, meant to go to the Lost Zone there, meaning that he has no longer any access to it. The Trashalanche Garb comes down, and the Sycamore getting rid of 2 strong and a Fighting Fury Belt there. He does see the rainbow, meaning that Trashalanche can become active this turn. Not too sure how many items are in Tord's discard, but with 70 HP already, like 70 damage already dealt onto Tord's Buzzwole, I imagine there are enough in there for that.
Yeah, but Marc could also Energy Drive. Just Tapu Lele seems to be quite safe here. Still 200 HP left. Yeah, Tord not playing any Field Blower, so he cannot get rid. Yeah, Marc and now also putting his Beast Energy in the Lost Zone. Yeah, now Tord has 2 Beast Energy in his Lost Zone, which is quite problematic. But yeah, Tord is going for the non-GX Buzzwole. Sledgehammer is... Yeah, now Sledgehammer is dealing more damage because the Remoraid got knocked out, and which means 120. And also Beast Ring is on.
It's interesting here. Tord needs to do an awful lot of damage. As he said, 200 HP on that Lele. The Buzzwole in the active currently with a Floatstone on it. Tord would prefer to have a Choice Band at this point to be able to try and max out this damage with as many strong energies, Choice Bands, Diancys, etc. But this 200 could be pretty problematic as these Buzzwole decks just don't play Field Blower.
Yeah, and now Tord goes for Brooklet Hill. Yeah, usually he would search for a Remoraid, but he probably still puts it down if he just has it. But he goes for a Buzzwole GX. What it looks like. Not entirely sure what his hand is looking.
There is one Elixir in there.
It seems like he has a Beast Ring as well. So, yeah, just being able to charge a Buzzwole GX seems to be really strong. Because the Buzzwole is able to take a 1-hit knockout.
Using Absorption here, or...
I mean, like, just in general.
Diancie would only take it to 180, right?
Yeah, but if you have any additional stuff, like either 1 strong energy or a Choice Band, you could definitely take the knockout with the second attack, which is 160. Yeah, the GX attack currently deals 160 as well, so maybe Tord goes for that. The way Marc is playing, The Lycanroc won't deal too much damage with its GX attack. Marc knows exactly how the matchup works, and I don't really expect him to fall into any of that stuff.
Of course, yeah, I think it's really important that Marc keeps his bench size down. Technically, he has everything he needs right now. He has something with enough HP to tank a couple of hits from this Buzzwole, and of course the Trash Lance to punish any of the 2 prize Pokemon that come into the active as well. Obviously, if towards Buzzwole GX does hit into this Lele, Marc is able to just discard the Rainbow, move into Trash Lance, and of course take a knockout there, providing he does have the energy. But we see the Bloodthirsty Eyes, of course, bringing up Trash Lance, knowing that's the main threat here to Buzzwole GX, and now we might see the retreat and the Sledgehammer here to knock out that Trash Lance, and of course we do.
Yeah, really cheap Sledgehammer. I don't see a way with in which Marc can knock out the Buzzwole on like any GX Pokemon. So Tord also gets another turn of Beast Rings next turn, which is really nice, as long as he can draw any.
And if Tord is a Psychic and uses his Norwegian Psychic skills, he might know that Octillery is the next prize that he's going to draw. So he might even fancy Brooklet Hilling for a Remoraid and hope that that's what happens.
I mean, even if, like, you know 3 prize cards and 2 of them are Octillery, so it's either 2 out of 3 to draw it, or if you take out 2 Pokemon GX, then you already know, like, yeah. I will definitely get an Octillery. And for Marc, there is no Trubbish in play currently. He doesn't need to hurry yet, but of course,
being able to
the
knock
Trubbish
out
would be nice to have in play, especially since Trashalanche is able to deal with a lot of stuff. I'm not entirely sure how many item cards are in Tord's discard pile.
No, I wasn't too sure earlier, but obviously we have seen an Elixir be played, we have seen a Beast Energy played, and I have seen 2 Ultra Balls be played, definitely. So that's at least 4. With a Choice Band, you know that is enough for him to be able to do so. And we see the knockout here. Lele dropping down to 190 HP. That is within range of Buzzwole with a Choice Band now. It's dangerous territory here for Marc. Not too hard for Tor to be able to hit. And of course, Beast Ring's still active here.
Yeah, the Ansi is in play, which means Knuckle Impact is 180 damage. So Tabolelo only has 10 HP left, and if he decides to do it this way. The alternative, like if Tord has either Tool or a Strong Energy, then he can deal 200 damage with Knuckle Impact, which would be enough.
And we see the Remoraid going back into the deck. Tord may just Brooklet Hill it back out, knowing that Octillery will be one of the prizes that he'll draw, potentially on his next knockout. And yeah, he puts that straight to the top. And this is the sort of thing, as he said, it is simple statistics, but it does take players of a higher caliber to just know that if there's 2 prize, 3 left, you've got to know that that's coming next.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as Marc doesn't answer with an N immediately, he will have the draw ability for the very last turn, necessary for him to just turn around the game, wrap everything up, and go straight into game 2. But
let's have a look here. This Lele, not safe at all. It just depends here on whether Tord is able to get any sort of damage amplifier. I can see a Choice Band in his hand and an energy, and that is a knockout on that Lele. That's a huge swing. Draws both his Auxiliary off of one, and that is a huge swing in Tord's direction. That knockout was absolutely huge. Not allowing Marc to do too much else. He's got a Nest Ball in hand. He can try and set up one last attacker to try and move into this, but that Buzzwole looking very scary at the front there.
Yeah, I don't really think there's too much that Marc can do here. There's definitely no way for him to take the one-hit knockout, so he has to probably even just Energy Drive and hope for the best. If Tord has a Guzma, then he wins. Or no, he needs Guzma Energy to reset Knuckle Impact.
Hoping to see here a Fighting Fury belt of some sorts, I imagine. Otherwise, just a Guzma for Tord there.
Yeah, and Marc just hopes that Tord has not that Tord doesn't have Energy Guzma.
He has access to Octillery now. He's waited a while for it, but it's finally here. this late in the game. And let's see.
So let's see, the 2 extra cards, if he gets it or not. If he doesn't, he can still do a lot of things.
He can still pile the pressure on massively here, obviously. There is obviously room for Bloodthirsty Eyes to come down as well, bringing the Trubbish into the active. Let's see what he does get off this. Has the Ultra Ball, no bench space though. He can go for the Lycanroc and the Bloodthirsty Eyes. Obviously, Tord doesn't play Lele in this deck, so it's not available, and he brings up that, and it is game.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So the game goes 1-1. Obviously, Marc going ahead in the early stages due to a game loss given to Tord, but now Tord brings it back in an exhilarating game there. That energy and choice band really swinging it. That Lele seemed so safe for a minute until it was dragged up into the active, and the second rainbow went down.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah, where were we? Yeah,
obviously,
so
yeah.
Tord was able to win. How much damage did the Tapu Lele on the bench have?
The Tapu Lele on the bench.
Oh, he only has one prize card left,
yeah, he
right?
only had one prize
so
card
he
on the
just
bench,
knocked out
so he was able to just bring it out.
The GX attack from,
of course.
Lycanroc. Yeah. I'm tired.
You're tired, aren't you? Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry, I've still got the enthusiasm here. What an exciting game there. Marc's deck didn't really get itself going there. He had to use Lele for a lot of that matchup. In other matchups, I think he was talking about the Malamar matchup. Lele very effective there. They're not really able to take one-shot knockouts with Garba, obviously not being able to psychic recharge as easily. However, Buzzwole, with access to Beast Ring, able to get those energies and those choice bands down, and 200 health just doesn't cut it, unfortunately, when you're against Buzzwole. However, this time, Marc will probably be hoping to get those jet punches down early, set up a couple more Trash Lunge, and actually get Garbatoxin down this game.
Yeah, like, his board position was really suboptimal the whole time. And there was one turn where, with the Beast Energy and the Fighting Furbird, where Acerola would have been amazing. He didn't get it right away, and then he didn't have a lot of Trubbish in play for the rest of the game, which kind of slowed him down a lot. The Trash Lunge Garbodor is really important as well. He plays a 4-2-2 line of both. The other the Ability Lock Garbodor would have also been good because, yeah, not just blocking Bloodthirsty Eye, but also the Unsea Prison, which was really important with the Fighting Furbird Tapu Lele, which got knocked out.
Yeah.
If Garbodor would have been in play, the Unsea didn't work, so he could have just taken that one.
But it was a case of, I think Garbatoxin wasn't able to come down. There wasn't enough Trubbish on board at any point for a couple of them to be set up earlier. Marc tried the best he could to play around Dangerous Rogue as well. Dangerous Rogue didn't actually end up playing a factor in that game. We might see Marc's bench full in this one and Dangerous Rogue have a different role and Lycanroc play a completely different role in this matchup. However, all to come in this game 3.
Yeah, now...
and Marc's
this time
deck
around,
is upside down.
Marc is going first again, showing a really bad mulligan. Janiper, Professor Sycamore, I mean, and then
his Beast Energy in there as
a
well.
lot
He's
of
quite
low
lucky.
special
Yeah.
energy.
So Tord, however, starting the basic, he has that Baby Buzz and another Baby Buzz for the bench. A nice start for Tord. He wants to keep as many as these non-GX attackers on board as possible, so Trash Lunge isn't able to punish him as hard and take several prizes in a couple of turns. And Marc goes again, trying to get a basic Pokemon, and he hits nothing once again, and Tord gets 2 extra cards for the start. One thing, Octillery allows them to draw extra cards, but the one thing you don't want to do is give them to for no reason. If a Buzzwole now has extra cards in its starting hand, they may even get a couple of elixirs, and they're able to start a really nasty turn 1 board state.
I agree.
David is very tired, unfortunately. Very tired indeed.
But we have a good match here, so we can enjoy the time a little bit more. Yeah, a lot of things going on at the same time.
What?
Yeah, at the same time.
At the same time.
Going to finish.
And we are in.
Wenn die noch warten können, ist das okay.
And the strong energy comes down on Marc's Buzzwole to start off this game. 3 Baby Buzz on Toad's side of the board. That's probably all he'll need for a good while. And of course, we see that very, very nice Lily in Marc's first hand here, allowing him to draw up to 8 on his first turn if he opts to use it. Always very nice. Again, as I just mentioned, you want to give these Buzzwoles as much cards as possible without the Octillery on board, and especially Marc having Garbodor over Octillery. He will definitely be able to hit enough stuff this turn to give himself a good start. Already looking slightly better with a Buzzwole and a Trubbish without having to play a Lele yet. Marc moving forward very nicely and able to do at least 50 damage on his next turn.
Yeah, and also he's able to set up some damage, which is a really important factor in Marc's deck, because he plays the Acerola. Fighting through bet strategy is usually just to try to make your opponent not knock you out, and then you can just reset everything. And you have the 2 key attackers are Buzzwole GX and Takolele, which can then take a big 2-hit knockout, and Buzzwole can prepare some knockouts here. And Marc actually finding himself a turn 1 Lily without using Lapulele, which is crazy.
Yeah, I just mentioned this. Obviously, a Lele for 8 cards, fantastic. Obviously, not having to use Lele. Lily just sitting there in his first hand. There's nothing more tasty to get on your first turn, is there? Up to 8. There's nothing in the game at the minute that will allow you to draw more cards than that at any given point in the game. And so Marc looking very happy with that, and it looks like he's got plenty to play with on his next turn. Toad does play down the Brooklet Hill. Marc not playing any of his own as well, so unless this is, it's not move, Toad doesn't play Field Blow, so that means that Marc will have access to be able to get out a fighting or water type Pokemon next turn. Obviously fighting types being the one that he will probably go for in this.
Yeah, he could either then go for Buzzwole or Buzzwole GX. The non-GX Buzzwole, it's always cool just to have him play, especially because if your opponent knocks out 1 GX, like the first GX, then you're in Sledgehammer territory, which is the reason why he even plays a Buzzwole in the first place. Just can deal so much damage, and also 50 for 1 is still really strong on a non-GX. And with the Fighting Free Bet, it's also 170 HP and then can deal 60 or 70 with a Beast Energy. So really strong Pokemon here. Tord now rechecking his prize cards, this time the Ansi's prize, which is really important.
And the Lycanroc, of course. He, unlike a lot of Buzz decks, is opting to still stick with the 2-2, so not really a massive problem for him. However, he probably does want it on the field. He ended up playing 2 of them in that game, and the way that he is drawing his prizes, it is going to be one of the last ones he gets. Elixir and an energy prize. But going over to Marc's size, 2 Guzma prized. This might not be a problem necessarily early in the game, but later in the game, once Marc has sort of spread around his damage and he wants to start taking knockouts as a result of that, these Guzmas are quite an integral part of the deck.
Yeah, and Tord also, he has an Ephemerite in his hand. Didn't bench it yet. Let's see what he's going for. He checks the Floatstone, and then he also has a Sycamore in his hand. Discarding the other Lycanroc, not too important. Todd does play Super Rod.
He plays 2 Super Rod to be exact, which is a lot of reimbursement coming from his discard pile into his deck. The Sycamore going into the discard pile there. It doesn't look like he's got massively too much left to play with. No Elixirs in hand. I see another Strong Energy, but that looks like it's all from this turn. Just an attack here with the Choice Band for a total of 80 damage on that Buzzwole GX.
Yeah, now Sledgehammer being able to deal 80 damage really fast. Without the Ansi, of course, it's still not enough for a 2-hit knockout. Even with the Ansi, it's not right. The Fighting Free Bet putting in a lot of work, unless you attach another Strong Energy the turn after. But now, even if next turn there's another Strong Energy, Sledgehammer would only deal 100 damage.
2 Floatstone come down on the Trubbishes. Something tells me Marc is hunting for a Garbatoxin, and it's not prized, so it is available to him in his deck. He does play 2 of them, so both of them there for him. I imagine here he's going for 1 Trashalanche and 1 Garbatoxin. I'm pretty sure 1 Trashalanche is in his hand, so just double checking that they are in there, double checking his prizes, and of course then we'll see what supporter he plays this turn.
Yeah, and now Knuckle Impact can currently deal 60 and 30 on the Rimrod potentially. Maybe even, I was just going to say maybe even on the Rockruff, because Marc if he knows that he will be able to use Garbotoxin anyways, and also knowing that it's really hard to get knocked out. The Rockruff is a good target because Tord will probably rather evolve Octillery rather than Lycanroc. Marc also knows one Lycanroc is in Tord's Discard pile, so it's unlikely that he just has it randomly. And the Lycanroc GX is still a really strong attacker. The weakness doesn't really matter too much, but the Trashalange Garbodor, of course, does deal a lot less damage against Lycanroc, and the GX attack can put in a lot of work. And then with 1 additional energy for 3 energy, 110, it's still a really strong attack.
Yeah, I think Lycanroc has been one of my MVPs of the weekend, to be honest with you. We've seen it in so many matchups. Bloodthirsty Eyes getting some really key knockouts in some of the matches we've had on stream. Dangerous Rogue punishing so many players for overbenching and stuff like that. It's been a really, really powerful card all weekend. Excited to see more. We're going to see more in this game and probably further on in the tournament as well. But definitely for me, Lycanroc is up there with one of the best cards in the format right now.
Yeah, now Tord, another strong energy. To the bench, Buzzwole, attacking once more. And now Marc, if he gets an Acerola, that's
he's in a really nice position if he gets Acerola,
yes,
and he hits it. He knew that was coming, had that ready for him. The Buzzwole comes straight back down with a strong and fighting Fury Belt, and Marc comes straight back in, 60 damage straight down, and 60 now on the Rockruff. Tord needs to try and find Lycanroc this turn, even if it's not the most opportune time to play it, simply because he does not want to waste this Rockruff.
Yeah, but we know it's one of his prize, the other in the discard pile, and I was just saying that, yeah, Forbidden Light brought so much stuff that made Buzzwole better, but I think the one who is always forgotten is the Rockruff, because without Forbidden Light, this would be a knockout.
Yeah,
there
of
was
course.
no 70 HP Rockruff before that, but now the little boy also needs 3 hits before being knocked out. Marc, because he had to play the Acerola, is not able to get a Garbodor in play, which means Tord can Octillery a little bit, but before any knockout is taken, Octillery is only drawing a few cards, and there's no B-string can be used, so either the hand is thicker before you use Octillery, so you draw less cards, or the cards you draw with Octillery don't really get you further too much.
And Tord Brooklet Hills.
Yeah.
One really interesting thing about the Rockruff that I found as well is that you now are able to attach on your first turn to Rockruff as well to pose a little more damage. Beforehand, you couldn't just attach to Rockruff without really being punished by a Lele. But now with 70 HP, you are able to elixir onto it in the first turn or just attach to it, allowing for a little bit more leeway and allowing you to be able to pop off Dangerous Rogue as soon as you're ready to.
Yeah, the difference between 60 and 70 HP is really important, similar to the difference between 120 and 130 HP. Yeah, Tord still isn't finished with his turn. Still only did 80. His bench is full. Now Marc knows that Yancy Prison is probably prized. Otherwise, it would have hit the bench at some point already.
Yeah, he knows that obviously the maths would be fixed for Tord if he was able to get down the Diancie Prism as well. So the fact that it still hasn't appeared causes a lot of problems for Tord. Obviously this Buzzwole in the active causing a lot of problems. As much as Marc hasn't done much with his board state, that Acerola really holding back Tord from pulling away anywhere. The Trashalanche starts to come down, and quite a few resources have been used by Tord already. It's lucky that he only has sort of 1 prize attackers on board right now. Otherwise, Trashalanche could start to be used as early as now to start punishing Tord, but I think we'll be waiting another while yet for it.
And now, because of the Brooklet Hill, Marc is just able to casually grab the Buzzwole onto the bench. And if the active Buzzwole actually gets knocked out, the Buzzwole GX gets knocked out at some point, then the non-GX Buzzwole can revenge and use Sledgehammer to deal a lot of damage. But Sledgehammer is much stronger than like these revenge attacks, because you can even use it twice in a row if your opponent isn't able to knock out the Buzzwole immediately. So just this one regular Buzzwole can put in so much work.
Yeah, Marc's hand really not being nice to him here. He's got a rainbow energy, but it doesn't look like he's got too much else going on. He's got 2 strong energy there, a DCE as well. There's a Sycamore, I'm pretty sure, in there, but he doesn't want to have to get rid of all of that. Really tough decision from him here on what he has to do. The rainbow does go down. I think we'll probably just see an attack here for turn. There's not really much else he can do with his hand. Just another floatstone.
Yeah, and Marc is taking the knockout. Now he can either knock out the Rockruff or putting the damage on artillery. He's not deciding to take out the Rockruff because he would go down to 4 prize cards, which means B-String, Sledgehammer, and he has no Garbodor in place, so B-String is even more difficult, even more problematic here, and he really wants to avoid that. Now the bench is open again. Tord can actually use Swing Around this turn. It's currently at 120 damage for Double Tails. Buzzwole has a bit more HP. It has 80 damage, 230 HP, which means
150 left.
Yeah, so 30 damage missing if he wants to take the knockout on Double Tails. But if he has a choice band, this is easily fixed.
Or just flip 2 heads, which is
flip two
heads, which is
also
blatantly
possible.
the easier option here, right? The other really interesting thing as well, by putting that 3 damage on the Octillery, there might be a point in this game where Marc can take 2 prizes just from a Jet Punch as well. If he is able to continue this Acerola loop and gets another 30 damage on that Octillery, he can Guzma one of them into the active and of course take 2 prizes, jumping over Sledgehammer time altogether as well.
Yeah, and now Tord has to think about what exactly he wants to do here. He can search his deck for a Buzzwole as well and deal 30-30 instead of trying to do like Sledgehammer stuff. Swing around stuff, because the 30 damage on the bench can be very important, and if he can't take the one-hit knockout with a Sledgehammer safe, it's just a kind of a weird risk to take. And also Marc would then go down to 4 prize cards, which means that the Buzzwole would get knocked out immediately afterwards. And then, he loses all of his energy, but he still commits to it. So now, for 1 hit, it is a knockout. Strong energy, 3 strong energy attached to 1 Buzzwole non-GX, so that's 60 extra damage. Tord now using a Cynthia as well. As long as Marc has any energy, as long as Marc has a strong energy or a beast energy, he can revenge knockout, and then Tord is in a really problematic situation.
Yeah, he's not got much on board once this Buzzwole goes down at the minute.
Yeah, and he
obviously.
But Marc goes down to 4 prize cards, so if he doesn't evolve into the Garbotoxin, then Tord can draw some cards with Artillery and use B-String as well. So Tord then just needs B-Strings next turn. So hopefully for him, he gets them. And now he has to think about what he does next. Still doesn't have access to Lycanroc. Max Elixir, let's see if he gets an energy card.
Max Elixir, he actually whiffs the Max Elixir, not able to get anything down there. That's actually really big for Tord. He needed that on the Rockruff just to be able to attach and then punish with a Dangerous Rogue at some point during this game.
Fair enough. So, Tord using a Floatstone to retreat the Buzzwole into the Swing Around. Now he has to flip if he flips Double Tails.
He blows on the dice for a little bit of luck here. I spoke to Tord and Marc earlier on yesterday, and they both said we don't flip coins. So, and Tord apparently does flip coins. He hits the head in a big swing knockout here. He actually draws an Elixir as well. His deck's starting to get a bit thinner. These Elixirs should start hitting really with the amount of energy he has in deck. And of course, if Marc takes any sort of knockout this turn on the Baby Buzz, he'll go down to 4 prizes.
Yeah, and now Marc, he does have the strong energy, so like I said, just being able to punish Tord, really problematic situation for him next. If he doesn't get B-Strings, he's kind of lost his tempo. He did draw 2 prize cards, but yeah, that's not too much. At least Marc doesn't play B-Strings, and he plays Sycamore, really painful, discarding Ace Roller, Guzma, DCE,
another strong energy. And that was his last one. Having to discard the 2 earlier in the game, 1 on the Buzzwole on the bench now, and of course 1 more by there. I think that's it for his strong energies. So he's got to try and conserve this 1 on his Buzzwole for as long as possible. Yet to see either player's beast energies either. So it'll be exciting to see where they come down. Marc's right there, right as I said it on the bottom of his deck. We see the Garbodor come down. Very important.
Finally being able to evolve. Prohibiting in theory prohibiting the Ansi, which is in the prize cards, and information known to both players. Of course, now the information is kind of lost again because Todd did draw prize cards, so maybe he drew them. Neither of the players. Todd does know that he didn't draw it, but Marc doesn't know yet. So we have a field blower coming down. And the sledgehammer for knockout.
The sledgehammer knockout, and Marc goes down to that dreaded 4 prizes. I imagine we'll see a baby Buzzwole promoted to possibly see the exact same play, just a return knockout. But Tord hoping now some way to get hold of those beast rings. Garbatoxing really, really important there on that turn. Stopping Abyssal Hand, allowing Tord a very little amount of cards to try and receive his beast ring. I don't think I can see it in his hand unless it's the one all the way to the left. The promotion here will be very important.
And Tord just going for the Buzzwole, putting it active. Kind of problematic, but there isn't really too much alternative. Well, actually, he can use the Sledgehammer himself this turn, but I know 3 of the strong energies are gone. They all got knocked out. Not entirely sure about the well-being of the last one. I'm really interested in the hand cards Todd has, because
I don't know. I can't tell if the card all the way to the left is a beast ring. He Brooklet held there. He could have just been checking if there was enough energy in the deck to be able to do so. It looks like it's got a dark art on the top of the card, but I can't really tell. There is definitely Elixir there as well, though, so we could even try and push for a dangerous rogue. Maybe not this turn, but next turn as well, in order to take some more prizes. It just depends on whether that's a beast ring towards hand by there in order to put a lot of pressure on.
Yeah, if he has a beast ring, he can either Knuckle Impact or Absorption for the knockout. Lycanroc still seems to be a really strong attacker, I would say. So Absorption GX might not be the best choice, but it's also a very it's something you would like to attack with often, because then you can just Knuckle Impact next turn for whatever Marc puts active. But it's very likely that Marc actually attacks with the Garbatoxin. And I'm not entirely sure if
attacks with the Garbatoxin.
I mean, attacks with the
with the trash
land. But Tord, he did have a Guzma in his hand, which is the reason why he put the Buzzwole active. Then he can use Sledgehammer to take the knockout on the Garbodor. Very good play, because this way, Sledgehammer doesn't do too much, and Swing Around is not an attack Marc can easily use, contrary to Tord.
Yeah, I think that is actually a really big swing. We were talking about how Trashalanche would be able to punish a lot of things in this matchup. However, Marc, not much of an opportunity to use it in either of the games we've seen on stream. He plays the N. Garbatoxin's still down, meaning that Tord has 3 cards to work with in his hand. I'm sure he will really, really be looking here for any sort of beast ring. He really needs that. He needs to start moving forward the energy on his board. He's only got 1 on the mini Buzzwole in the active. Not much going on unless he gets some good 3 cards here. Marc could start to see the pullback in his direction if Tord doesn't hit the things he needs.
Yeah, now just a Rainbow Energy, no strong on his own Buzzwole, but after an N, and
he takes the knockout on the Rockruff, finally going down to 3. Both players very, very even in this matchup. It seems to be knockout after knockout, turn after turn here. Very tense. Both players know what this game means, getting into top 4. And of course, Tord goes again for the Brooklet Hill, looking what's left in his deck. I imagine he's probably looking to see how many Guzma are left in there. Just to double check, Guzma seems to be the only way now that he's going to be able to get that Garbatoxin out of his way in order to draw the cards he needs to finish off the game.
But even if he knocks the Garbodor out,
The
Marc
Trubbish is
still
still
has
there.
the other Trubbish. However, then he would be limited to evolve into Trashalanche. He does play a 4 Trubbish, so still have 1 left. I also think he plays a Rescue Stretcher. So getting completely rid of the whole Garbodor shtick, I would say, is really unlikely. However, Tord now with the Sledgehammer active, currently only dealing 30 damage, and this might also be the last turn of B-String. No, actually, he might have like a few more turns left, because Marc, I don't think he can take a knockout next turn.
And Diancie finally hits the board, obviously
Oh,
not able to
interesting.
add the extra 20 quite yet. Maybe Tord is confident that he can get the Guzma for the Garbatoxin this turn. Depends or not whether it sticks. As you said, that Trubbish there with the Float Stone already on it, no way to field blow it, and it could be a tough situation here. We see the N, and Tord either here hoping for a choice band of some description.
Yeah, this game is really going down to the wire. Both players have a fairly decent board state. None of them has anything crazy going on. With the N, not with Garbodor in play. With Garbodor in play, Tord can't really draw too much of the end, so he's lowering his hand size a lot as well. And since Marc plays Garbodor himself, he doesn't really have too many abilities that can help him at all. And even if he draws them now, of course, wouldn't be able to use them. So both players now really getting limited here. Tord is being able to use Sledgehammer for 30, putting the Buzz on 40 damage in total, and then the swing around next turn, even with the double heads, would not be able to take a knockout. If he has like a choice band, if he would have drawn a choice band now, it would have been really good.
And we see the Trashalanche hit the field. And the Fighting Fury belt, that's so big from Marc there. That 40 damage almost becoming irrelevant now as it's wiped out by that Fighting Fury belt. Buzzwole still on 190 HP, and the Jet Punch comes in from Marc as well. That Octillery ready to go down before Tord's able to use it. No access to Remoraid left in his deck either. Be really interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah, and now Marc could just draw 2 prize cards by knocking out the active Buzzwole and the Octillery. And then he would be down to 1 prize card, which is potentially quite dangerous. Another option he has is to just put damage on the Rockruff or the Diancie Prison. And if he puts damage on the Diancie Prison, for example, if he has a Guzma, he would win the game. But if he knocks out the Octillery, he would also need a Guzma to win the game later anyways. Currently, he still has his Beast Energy left, which means Jet Punch can potentially deal 70 damage later. So he would actually be able to take a knockout on a Diancie in theory, which is one of potential play he has.
And we see a full Lycanroc line go back into the deck with an energy. Tord knowing that Lycanroc is the key to winning this game. As long as he can get rid of that Garbatoxin, Bloodthirsty and Dangerous Rogue is how he's going to be able to do enough damage to get this Buzzwole out of the active spot. B-String's still currently active. That's the only thing to remember. As much as Tord hasn't rushed to play them, simply because he hasn't drawn into them, it is still active, and that could still be a big swing in this game.
Yeah, so Tord, he ended himself. Let's see if he did have a supporter after the end or not. If he doesn't have one, it's really problematic.
And
the camera froze.
the camera's frozen.
Very unfortunate for us here. The time is still running. Let me check really quick.
That is absolutely fine. David's just run off the check. I hope you guys have been enjoying everything so far, though. Just while we have this little bit of a tech break, the camera's frozen. That does not mean that the game is gone anywhere, though. The screen is back on, though, and welcome back. I don't think we've missed anything too much toward attaching the energy to Rockruff and then looking like he's Sycamored. I don't know what he has in his hand quite yet, though. Allowing for B-Strings to be played potentially this turn. depending on what he drew, and he does not hit any B-strings. That is absolutely humongous. Marc has got to be really happy that he's managed to avoid that this whole time now. Nothing really going on towards bench apart from that 1 energy on Rockruff. But again, Dangerous Rogue only able to have its full effect with Bloodthirsty Eyes, bringing up what it wants unless it's already in the active. And we see a Sycamore on Marc's side of the board as well. Both players really grinding into the end of this game now. Thin decks, and both players hitting exactly what they need to hit by the looks of things.
Oh yeah, now Marc has an energy on the Garbodor, so he can also just take the knockout on the Artillery. Then he will only need to attack with the Garbotoxin to win, which forces Tord to use Lycanroc in order to prevent that. Currently, it's 3 bench Pokemon, so 150 damage together with the 70 currently in. That's 210, not enough. I know there are 3 strong energy in Tord's discard pile, so he could get rid of that. Marc now currently just thinning out his deck using a Nest Ball and Mysterious Treasure, just to get rid of the cards. In most other scenarios, you would actually search your deck for things and maybe put them on the bench, but currently more bench space means more damage with Lycanroc, so he cannot do this. Yeah, and he takes a knockout on Artillery and puts the timer even down.
The one thing we have to keep in mind here is Marc has 1 Guzma prized. Obviously, that's going to make it slightly harder for him to hit the Guzma he needs for that Buzzwole GX on the bench to take a knockout. Just checking now if Tord does have enough items in the discard. If that dice on the side is related to Tord's items, all Marc would need is a Fighting Fury belt, I believe, right? That's...
What exactly do you mean? Because, Fighting Fury belt only works on basics. And also he has a Float Stone attached already, which means 40, which is 80, 160 damage currently. Threatening, not quite enough. But Tord not having a strong energy on his Rockruff. He just plays a Cynthia.
He needs to, with a capital N, needs to hit Lycanroc off of this. It is Tord's, I think, final hope of anything happening for him in this game. He needs the Lycanroc now. Buzzwole has enough energy on it to be able to retreat. He needs to get this Buzzwole out of the active. That stops Marc from being able to Jet Punch to take 1 prize off the bench as well.
But he still doesn't deal enough damage, right?
Tord knows. He's looking at Marc straight in the eyes. He knows he needs Lycanroc here.
Am I missing something?
And it doesn't look like he's hit it.
But with Lycanroc it's 150 damage, so it's still not a knockout, right?
With the 70 already on there? Surely it would be.
150 and 70 is 210? No, 220. But it's 230 HP.
It's 230, isn't it?
Yeah, but of course Choice Band Lycanroc would still be enough for the knockout. Yeah.
Tord in a sticky situation here. 1 elixir in hand. Don't know how much that's going to provide him with. It was so integral that he hit the Lycanroc on that turn. So once this active Buzzwole goes down now, there is nothing on Tord's side of the board. And he just
goes for Sledgehammer, but it's still really strong because this means that Marc, he needs a Guzma to get rid of the Lycanroc, the Rockruff. Otherwise, Tord just needs a Ultra Ball or a Lycanroc to win the game. Not to win the game, but to play more. And he uses Field Blower
on that guard. I imagine we're
and
going to see
Lele
Tapu Lele here, and we're going to see Guzma, meaning that
really sweet.
That was really nice there from Marc. That beautiful play there, that Field Blower coming down, switching abilities back on. He gets the Rockruff, taking away Tord's only remaining target on the bench with Trashalange. I know there's not enough to take out that GX, but there's definitely enough to do 70 damage to that Rockruff. That was absolutely excellent from Marc there. Really smart play. And instead, he's even going to go for the Acid Spray by the looks of things. and take one prize. He just needs one prize now to win this game.
Yeah, and the Buzzwole on the bench already, it only has 20 HP left, which means that Marc just needs to use...
he can even retreat here and just use Jet Punch.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. With Jet Punch, it's just a knockout immediately. And yeah, the Field Blower on yourself, just to use Layla for crucial turn, is really cool. And now, Tord, really problematic. He would definitely need to take the knockout.
I actually don't see a way that Tord wins here. If he comes into the active with the Buzz and the energy on it to knock out the Garb, obviously the Buzz on Marc's bench could just come in and Jet Punch
Yeah,
it.
I think he needs to knock out the Buzzwole in Marc's field. Otherwise, he can't really do anything. And he cannot knock it out with the Buzzwole, which already has a lot of damage.
Already has a lot of damage on it, which means he needs to... There is an Elixir in Tord's hand. He can Elixir onto his fully healthy Buzzwole on the bench, trying to swing and knock out his way, and he hits a second Elixir. No other... Is there an energy on the end of his hand there? That means he could swing around, hit two heads, and try it that way to knock out. But I don't think he's got any strong energy in deck. But Diancie back active now. Would that be enough? Double
so
heads.
Sledgehammer is 100, and there's Marc is just covering the die. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, it's 100 damage, so he would need to flip one head if he gets everything. But he would still need to get everything. Actually, he could have used Diancie as well. The attack deals 30 from each of your Pokemon. But of course, he didn't know that he gets 2 elixirs before, and he would also need to hit both of them.
I think there's only 2 energy left in deck for him. Yeah, there's just the 2. Those elixirs are going to have to be extremely accurate, obviously, to get that. Coming down to the last 5 minutes, I definitely think this game is going to end. It just depends who it ends in favour of. Really nail-biting game here. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Tord, several options in his hand with the elixirs, but it just depends whether he's able to hit them. I think Marc might just have him checkmated though.
Oh, he even has everything. Like, he has everything in hand, which he could have potentially used to go for Diamond Ray. I would really love to see that, but he drew the elixir from the last turn. Oh, he actually has...
Oh, he has Guzma, okay. And he brings up the Garb. Marc has Guzma, and that is game. Yeah. Marc beating Tord Reklev in top 8.
He didn't have Guzma, but...
Concealed that very well. Marc Lutz beating Tord Reklev in top 8. Although Tord did start off with a game loss, we had a fantastic series here, going right down to the wire. Only 4 minutes left. Those 2 games lasted almost 60 minutes, and we saw some fabulous plays there. The Field Blower on that Garbodor really swung things in Marc's direction, being able to get rid of that Rockruff and taking away Tord's board state completely.
Yeah, a third game would have been really cool to watch, I think. Really interesting deck.